Hi, Melina from Yogeek here. So today, my little tips and tricks was to talk about core activation. So a lot of people I know love doing core exercises, whether it's planks or leg raises, sit-ups, whatever. They're all great when they're done properly and when the right muscles are being activated. And what's interesting is that, especially if you're doing like a fast-paced workout, more like a HIIT workout or something like that, you may not notice when you start to lose that activation because you're more focused on just knocking that workout out of the park. So core activation is one of those things where even if like you're an incredible athlete, is to every once in a while go back and just like check in and make sure that you are activating the core, meaning like the pelvic floor muscles, the lower transverse abs, the multifidi, all of those support systems to make sure that we don't have low back injuries when we're doing other activities. So for example, a good way to activate the core is when we talk about the pelvic floor muscles. So with women, that will be like doing a baby Kegel, not like a full-on, just baby Kegel, where you want to think of like this elevator coming up, just kind of this like drawing up and in. For men, it's going to be that feeling like when you have to pee and you kind of whoop, you do that little sensation. I'm not a dude, so I don't know what it is, but I'm trying. That's your pelvic floor working. So today we're going to talk about just real simple ways to activate it, and this is especially great if you're kind of new to doing core workouts, if you're new to exercises, if you're kind of a beginner, or if you're coming off of like maybe a back injury or something where you haven't been able to engage the core, and you might be done with physical therapy, but this is a good way to kind of keep it going in a positive direction. So to begin, move my little blanket out of the way. You're going to come down onto your back, and you're just going to take a moment here to check out what's happening with your spine. So you have a natural lordotic curve, that kind of natural arch in your back. What I want you to stay away from is this kind of overarching where the chest is going up and you could basically drive a truck under here. So you're going to bring all of that down. Feet are going to be hip distance apart. And I want you to take one or both hands and place them on your lower, like you feel your spine and then you feel the little muscles next to the spine. So let me sit up and show you. It's going to be right in here. So this is my spine, and these are the little muscles I want you to feel along the side. So we're hanging out down here, gazing at the ceiling. Feet are hip distance apart, and you're going to take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to just press your feet into the floor and think of that pelvic floor engagement. So baby Kegel, that little kind of squeeze with the pelvic floor muscles. On an exhale, and see if you can feel those little back muscles turn on. And you should feel your lower transverse abs engage. So that's going to give you what you hear the cue of: draw the belly button towards the spine, activate your core, draw your belly in. This is the sensation we're talking about. Now it's interesting, as you're pressing, nice big inhale, exhale, pressing on the floor, you may or may not feel them turn on. And that's okay. One side might turn on, might be more active on your little multifidi, your little back muscles, than the other. It's totally normal, and that's why we do these exercises, to help with those imbalances. So the other thing I want you to think of when you're getting yourself into this position is, again, making sure you're not overarching or tucking. You want that kind of natural, neutral spine. So it might take a minute to suss that out. So now I want you to take one hand out. One arm is going to be on underneath that back, the multifidi. Nice big inhale, exhale. Feeling how these lower transverse abs turn on. Now, if you can maintain that, great. This is door number one, is just finding this connection of what's going on, where your spine isn't changing shape, but you feel this drawing in, this connection between the lower transverse abs, the multifidi, and the pelvic floor muscles. Next, if you're good with this, you're going to take a nice big inhale, exhale, and lift one leg. Now, what happens here is sometimes the tummy will, it will just kind of dome out, and we want to avoid that. You want to be able to keep this connection. Bring that foot down. Make sure you always reset. Press with the feet and lift up. If you're good with that, you can place both hands on the belly. Nice big inhale, exhale. Finding that connection, pressing with the feet, feeling these lower transverse abs turn on. No arching or tucking of the belly. You lift one, bring it down, lift the other, bring it down. You can progress from this to where you bring both feet up and you just leave them here. As soon as this belly pokes, you gotta back it up and reset. So you can stay here, drop one, drop the other, drop one, drop the other. Okay? Go ahead and stretch all that out. Good ways to progress. And then the other one is you're going to sit up onto your tush. So you're on your ischial tuberosities, kind of that area. There's like a little space kind of behind it. What I don't want is this tucking where you can feel like you're on your tailbone, because then you start going into your low back. But you're going to sit nice and tall. Shoulders are looped back, hands behind the legs. Nice big inhale, exhale as you start to come down. You're still using that idea of making those lower transverse abs turn on, keeping these multifidi engaged, nice and open through the chest. This might be enough, just hanging out here, coming up, releasing out, little stretch, little arch, little wiggle. Next progression, come back. Now, we talked about the hip flexors last week. You do not want them to take over. Yes, they are going to work a little bit. They have to. It's just we're all connected. I don't want them to take over. So if they do, you need to take a break. Make sure that you're not doming out in the tummy. You can lift one leg, bring it down, lift one leg, bring it down. For yoga people, this is kind of like your stage one of boat pose. But what happens a lot when we move into boat pose, all sorts of weird things happen. We start to cave, we start to do weird arches. So this is a good way to just set up the proper chain and build that deep strength so that you can progress in a way that's efficient and functional. So after you do some of those, come to a nice butterfly stretch. Take a break, do your stretches, do your foam rolling that we talked about. Ah, I love foam rolling. And those are just a couple tips and tricks of how to activate the core. So if you have any questions or want to see something, let me know. You can send me a message. You can put things in the comments. I think next week I'm going to look at shoulder stuff. Thank you for being here. And I just wish you love. See you next week.